Okay, we've got to talk about what occurred yesterday. So, let's see. I'm in a weird energetic state. Let's start with that. I'm going back in time to yesterday, okay? I'm going to take you with me the day. I'm in a weird energetic state, right? Weird as in I understand. I was feeling very frustrated and like feelings of like resentment and just kind of this confused, like uncomfortable. And it's like, I understand how reality works. I understand I am a vibrational being. Everything is vibration. And ultimately, if I'm, feelings are feelings and they come up, right? But if I'm occupying this like frustrated and like resentful state, I'm not in alignment. Point blank, period. But I've been really recently searching for an answer of sorts because I find myself in those states and I'm going, okay, but how do I get out of this? What am I supposed to do? Because I think I've been so quick to want to just immediately jump to like my typical, which is like, I am love, I am light, I am peace, I am bliss. But like when you're so low, you cannot just, I wouldn't say you cannot, but I would say it's very difficult to be able to jump states like in a major way. You have to take like these incremental steps. And I think that that's something that it's kind of the outcome. I'm learning that. But anyways, let me put it like this, okay? So I'm really struggling and I'm not feeling it and I'm not having it. I'm feeling like just what I typically consider like dark night of the soul, depressive episode, like just the opposite of what I know to be my alignment, which is like it's bliss. I have the vision. I know what I'm doing. I know my purpose. Everything is clear and certain and I'm excited and passionate and eager and full of desire and passion and creativity and ideas, right? Versus that state where it's like you're devoid of enjoyment. It's like I don't know, it's just like a lot of suffering. So I'm feeling these feelings and I'm like trying my best, right, to get myself to a better state. I can't get out of my own way. So finally I'm like, okay, we need to call in some divine intervention. We need some divine guidance here. Like, okay, I'll admit, okay, I can't do this on my own. So I'm saying my prayers and I'm emotional and I'm saying my prayers and the guidance is really just kind of telling me like, it wasn't totally clear like in these words. What was clear at the time was kind of like relax, just relax. Like, but what largely I think was happening is like I was creating resistance and creating like this frustration when like there needed like out of this feeling of like what do I need to do? Me out of this belief that everything's not okay. And I have all these problems to solve. And that feeling is like overwhelming me. And I'm like, well, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Da, 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 da. And I'm not here. And I'm not here yet. I'm not here yet. I'm here yet. When in reality, I feel like the guidance was like, so the reason all this is happening, it's like, you are exactly where you're meant to be. Like you are acting as if you're not. And that's like, you're stressing yourself out over it, basically. And you're feeling all of the weight of that. When you like have been on this journey long enough that you like things are certain to you, because I remember in the beginning it was a lot of like, okay, maybe I like reading the Kabbalion, that it sounds ridiculous, I feel like, coming out of my mouth, reading ancient Hermetic texts, like learning about Thoth and being like, oh my god, this is kind of out there, like maybe this is true, like maybe this ancient Hermetic wisdom is like relevant, but like I don't know, because even the way in which they present it is so fascinating to me, because it really is so secretive, and they really are very like, don't give this to the masses because they will trample on it. Like they don't know what to do with information as valuable as this, which I've always felt conflicted about, because I just think, well, we all deserve to know the truth of what we are. But yes, I've also had the experience of like just coming at someone full force with the truth and them not being able to hear me whatsoever. And then it feeling almost like it hurts, like, in a way. It's like a weird, like, it feels like sacrilege, but like as if the not like thinking like disentangle it from sacrilegious in terms of like believing in an organized, being a part of an organized religion and believing in those beliefs and being rooted there and having something sacrilegious occur, versus like sacrilege to like your heart, like if you could feel what it felt like for somebody, for you to just open up your heart and say, this is what it does. It pumps the blood to the body, and it this is all of, this is my heart, and this is its energetic resonance, and this is the heart, and this is what it does. And for someone to just be like, that's not your heart. That's not a heart. Like, it feels that deeply personal. Anyways, yesterday, fuck, we really just go and go and go and go. I mean, moron, you think this bitch needs to do yoga or something? Yeah, she does. I gotta stay. See, I'm very right now. I'm quick to like judge myself and like be hard on myself about things, and I don't know what that is, girl. I don't know what it is. Anyways, let's talk about yesterday. I'm at this point. I'm saying my prayers. The guidance is like, relax, okay? Maybe go to bed. And I'm laying, on my air mattress. The guidance is like, go to bed. I'm like, okay. I go to bed. This is middle of the day, mind you. So this is like, it's like, okay, nap is happening. I had already opened, like, at work this morning, so I was tired. I go to bed. I must have slept, I want to say, in the range of 3 to 4 hours. I've never had dreams like this. I mean, and maybe I have, but like, this is one of those that's rare. You know what I'm saying? Where you have like, and I woke, the way I woke up to, I felt different immediately. It was just, things were cleared, like work was done for me, I felt, by way of dreaming, sleeping, and whatever, the healing power, whatever occurred, okay? So I'm not gonna like obviously tell you the irrelevant details, but there are some interesting things, and it's interesting the ways in which, like, I guess I've never had dreams that are so suggestive of like a larger truth that would be relevant to other people. Typically you have the dream and it's like relevant within your own realm of what, links and people in your life and your emotional attachments to things. It's like relevant to you. But this feels actually not relevant to me, but relevant to me in the larger sense, which is relevant to all. Hold on. Because on the surface, none of it is like, there's nothing in here that was like, oh my God, like the answer I've been looking for. No, none of that. But just I don't know. So from what I remember, where it began is like, I have this scene, the visual of like a house and a driveway and a big gray SUV, and it's raining, and the rain's kind of coming down slanted. And a lot of this dream felt like, of course I was in it, but a lot of it felt like film, like watching something. And it was just that scene, and I was understood that like this was my driveway, even though, random home, random car, whatever. But I was told to drive some of the distance when I got the chance. Okay. So I did that because I was just like, okay. And then I'm in the car. Like, it flashed from that to me being in the car. I'm in the back at this point. I had already done some of the driving, and I did the driving on my own, which is the interesting thing. There was nobody in the car. Maybe Antonio, my younger brother, was in the car, but not the whole family. Now, we flashed to, and that exists more in the dream like a memory. Like, I don't have the physical present experience of it, but like I know that's what happened. Then we flashed to from the gray SUV to, we're all in the car. I'm in the back. My mother's in the front. Antonio's in the front passenger. Jonathan's in the middle. And I'm in the way back. And again, like I have the memory, like, yeah, I drove some of the distance, whatever, because I was asked to. And I said, so at this point, it's becoming clear that my mother's taking us somewhere. She's been staying at this resort type desert organization, like something organization feels like the best word for it because it was like lots of different things happening, lots of people, lots of like movement and projects. There's construction, there's also the resort like building itself. But just organization, it's just like as vague, but that's the best way to explain what was happening. I just feel like this is so much about reality, and we can get into it. But okay, so at this point, it's clear to me that's where we're being taken, right? Like she's been there a while, and now she wants to take us. And I said to them, like, oh, like I didn't even pack a bag because I didn't understand I was going on a trip. Like I was just like helping drive the vehicle. And they all like laugh at that. And Antonio like makes fun of me a little bit, like he makes a funny comment, and they all like kind of laugh. And I remember in the dream, I'm just a bit confused because I'm like, well, why is that funny? Why is that funny? And it's very interesting because this is the kind of thing that in my reality is something like that would happen where I would do something very like on the surface, like ditzy, like, oh, I didn't even pack a bag. I didn't know we were going, right? Even though if you look on the surface, like it's obvious we're driving somewhere, we're going. And my family would like be like, oh, Isabella, da, da, da. You know, it'd be funny. But what is also a common experience is me living my reality in my day-to-day and being perceived and responded to a certain way, and in my head going, huh? Wait, huh? How are they taking it that way? So what's very interesting here is like, I just feel that it says something about the nature of what we are. One, what is possible in dreams, and two, the larger organization, the larger structure of what we are and what we are doing, and the ways in which we are each, like, of course we're living this very like micro, like I'm in Isabella's vessel, like I'm doing her timeline, like it's a very micro pattern. However, it's largely something much more macro is happening, and that's the nature of this existence. We are all contributing to something much, much larger, some larger organization, and we're all playing our respective roles. So with the car, like, or being told to drive the SUV, my understanding of it was very like, okay, so the vehicle needs to go a certain distance. The vehicle needs to get from here to here. You can assist by popping in and moving it some of that distance. There was no thought in my mind about me starting here and ending up here because I moved the vehicle. It was just like the vehicle needs to go this certain distance. It doesn't really matter like whether you end up over here. Like it's not really about you getting here. Like again, like I didn't understand like oh, a vacation's going to be happening or whatever. My mother wants to take us to the resort. Like it was not about me ending up anywhere. It was really just like this is how I experienced it in the dream, which is why that moment in the car was confusing with my family, because my understanding was just, okay, I'm capable of driving. I can assist by moving this vehicle some of the distance it has to go. But it's not necessarily about me getting from point A to point B. But it is about there's some kind of distance that this needs to go and I can contribute to it. So that to me profoundly, has profound implications about the nature of this reality and what we're doing and how we actually exist and how we actually relate to one another and relate to all of the things that we're involved in. Like, do you ever think about, like, at your place of work or at the groups you're involved in, just like your larger role that's being played individually in that group and then as a collective, like what is your group bringing forth? I was talking to someone this weekend and she's a social worker, and I don't obviously totally understand the logistics of what she had to do in this situation, but I do understand like she fought really hard to get this guy a lesser sentence, and I don't think that outcome happened. Like, I think he still got a sentence which, you know, was like based on, they were just giving him such a hard sentence for, he didn't deserve it. You know, it was like, for, it's kind of bullshit. You know, the legal system is flawed, to say the least. So just thinking about that, and from my perspective, it was very like, okay, even my understanding of her within the larger collective of what she's doing, if we look at everything on the level of energy, it's like, well, there's forces at play, and what's happening is we're seeking a balance. And just because in this specific individual instance this man did not get a lesser sentence, that doesn't mean it was all for nothing. Like, the energy still exists, and she still was using her vessel and her being and her connection to source and you know, eternal energy to push against something which is unfair. And that doesn't just go nowhere. Like, it all accumulates, and you will see it played out maybe in a few, just in a, somewhere else. You'll see it played out somewhere else. Is it making sense? That like the way in which everything we're doing on the micro level is really contributing to a larger balancing of energy on this planet and in this reality, in a way in which, obviously this is easier to just say than to actually experience. It doesn't really matter what the outcomes are on the individual level, because what does matter is the energy and intention. Anyways, again, back with the vehicle, like, it says a couple things. Of course, it says that major thing about the nature of reality and what we're doing, and that oftentimes, like, we are involved in things because we are meant to contribute in some larger way. We're either meant to move something, like, that just made me think, it just made me think of an analogy of like thinking of everything as like almost like the mob. Like, yeah, I gotta move this piece for a higher boss, you know? No, that's not, okay. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But no, the nature of what we are and the way in which we're looking at like our life and like the little things we have going on, or big things, you know, that do take up so much of our awareness. And we feel like that is the whole of the thing. And like, okay, like, yes, like, I am to like whatever your like larger goals may be, or like whatever you feel like your purpose is, like, we are very focused on our individual purposes without seeing the larger orchestration, the larger construction, the larger organization. Okay, again, this dream, the larger organization of what we're doing. That's why it was so profound to me waking up from this dream, because I just had so many, like, obviously I went and just kind of wrote down the things I remembered, but there were just so many profound insights. Like, again, like, we get to this resort and it's like, I don't even know what to call it, but the best way I can explain it is that it was an organization of something. People were being used, like, vehicles were being used, construction vehicles were being used. Like, there was a lot of land involved and like different things happening for a larger purpose that like was kind of unclear to me, especially because I was in the resort. There was a period of time in the dream that I was like, it was actually someone I work with at work now, but he was in the dream and we're in the back of an SUV, like, once again, in the back of a vehicle, and this was full with like other workmen, and he, like, I guess worked on one of the sites, and he was trying to explain to me at least a small portion of what he was involved in within the larger organization of organizations, basically. And I don't, you know, remember much, but I do remember like having that conversation with him anyway. There was a lot that happened in my dream, but the interesting thing again was like just the thing with the vehicle where, like, yes, one, it suggests this kind of higher awareness of what we all are and what we are all doing, but two, I think it also suggested like, which, and maybe this is like more of a common thing in dreams that like people have observed, like the way in which there was no thought in my mind that like, oh, if I drive the car from here to here, I would end up here. And really, I didn't. Like, it didn't happen like that in the dream. It was just, you know how it is in a dream, things can just happen, right? Like, you just move from like scene to scene, whatever. But like, there really was no, that was not a part of my awareness at all. It was very like, okay, the vehicle needs to go this, the vehicle needs to end up here. And because it's a vehicle, it can't just bing bong flash itself over there like I could. So I can assist in driving it some of the way. And it's just so interesting because I just feel like it, again, it's this larger conversation about what we are doing here. So much of what I'm doing and what I feel is like my larger purpose here. Obviously, you know, it's important within we want to value it. We don't want to devalue it, you know, because all the individual work is important. All the micro adds up to the macro. Yes. But it's this interesting thing. I don't know. I don't need to end up here. It's not about me getting here. It's not about me ending up here. But it is about this little segment of time in which I'm pushing something closer to where it needs to be. It's like almost this detachment from I. Like it was less, it just had less to do. It just had not, it's difficult to explain in words. I do feel as though, at least to my own understanding, it's explained in what I've said already, but I don't know the degree to which someone else will pick up. I just don't know. That's a tangent we could go on because I wonder about that all the time. Like, why does it feel challenging for me to know the degree to which someone can understand what it is that I'm saying? I don't know. I think maybe just because I do live in such abstract, so I worry I'm not like grounding it enough physically. But whatever, that's another conversation. It was just so interesting. Again, because I just felt detached from I. But not even in a way I was aware of like, oh, I feel detached from I, in a way that I have to be aware of in my present state. It was just the natural way of existence. It just that was what the natural understanding of how things worked was like, oh yeah, the car needs to be moved. I can move it. But it wasn't even, I don't know. It feels like the more I explain it, like the less I have it, which is annoying, but also beautiful and fantastic. So I will say one other thing that's really interesting too about this dream, that this was very profound. So at the resort, there was some kind of dinner party happening, some kind of event. But to like go to it, it was required that everyone basically do this thing first, which just now thinking of it, I wanted to use the word initiation. I don't think I had that word in the dream, but there was something that you had to do first. So my mother and I were going to go do it together. Like people would go in shifts because basically what you had to do is like you go like downstairs and you basically are in like an underground thing. Like it was like caves, but you get to a bathroom, like a fully functioning, like a bathroom that looked like it's like in a house, you know, like plumbing and everything, and like porcelain tub. And it's just a small bathroom. It's like within the cave structure. So my mother and I go, and what you have to do is you have to stand in the shower. Like you don't turn it on and you just keep your clothes on, but you get in the shower, like physically. And I don't remember the logistics other than this is where it started to get mystical. Okay. So hold on, because I'm looking at my notes here. Okay, so yeah, it was like we saw a series of visuals in a flash, and it kind of reminded me of like seeing the gray SUV at the beginning, where I was like looking at the driveway, the rain's coming down, the gray SUV's here, I'm looking at the back of it, and it's running, but no one's in it. But like we get a series. It reminds me of that because it was very like you're watching something. I don't remember, like, again, like we were in the bathroom physically, but then it just went to like physical understanding existence is gone. It's like all I know is in the dream I'm watching something. You know what I mean? Um, I truly wish I remembered more of this, but basically it was a black screen and we read words, and it was like reading them, but it also just felt like they were being read to me. But it was like both, because it's that shit that's happening in here. And what it was like interpreted as was some kind of higher being or higher awareness, higher knowledge saying, hey, so we exist in a higher perspective where everything's funny. Like, or everything is lighthearted. Like everything's delightful. Anything painful is funny. Like it's like it I'm struggling right now with my words to even convey, because it was just so higher level of awareness. Like it was so from another plane, because it's hard for me, even like in my humanness and just with language, it's hard for me to even get at what was being said. But it was something to that effect of like, where we come from, there's no suffering. Basically, like this shit is like, it's all funny. It's all light and playful. And they basically said, it's not possible for you to be taken precisely to where we are. And I wrote, it's helpful for me to look at what I wrote because I like wrote it as soon as I woke up so I'd remember. Yes, okay, so they basically were like, it would not be possible for us to take you, or for you to be taken precisely to where we are, because it would be too difficult. And there was no reasoning, like, no, they didn't say because of your humanness. I don't remember that, but I do remember that's kind of maybe how I interpreted it. Like, it'd be too difficult for you because of your attachment to the human vessel at this time. It would be too difficult for you to perceive or understand this, which makes sense as to why I can't even get at it in words. And I do think I understood it even a couple degrees better in the dream when because in the dream space, you're able to detach from the physical. Whereas like out here, when I'm explaining it, it's more challenging. But basically, okay, we exist in this higher place where everything is delightful. Everything is funny, and we cannot possibly take you there with us. It would be too difficult for you to perceive and experience this, but we are going to take you closer to it, closer to us, and you can choose to experience it how you like. The way my computer screen for the first time in this video just blacked out right after I said that is crazy, because oftentimes when I'm recording and that happens, it always happens after some like weirdly significant moment. Okay. So I remember thinking, and that specifically, I really do remember it, like that effect of it towards the end, where it was like, we're going to bring you like closer, as close probably as you can go. And you still have choice to experience it how you like, to perceive it how you like. So I remember thinking, okay, perfect. I don't know if I use that word, but I do remember thinking like, oh, so like all I have to do is laugh. Like all I have to do is go into this with the approach of finding things funny, because that'll make all of this easier. And that really carried through me into the waking day, because that's something I've struggled with in the past. Like when I am in a really difficult emotional state and I have the awareness of like, I know I can detach from this because I know I am infinite awareness. I know I am the source which is observing this. I don't need to suffer. but I've had this experience before, and I've had this conversation with God, with the higher realm, with the highest self, with the higher beings, whatever you want to call it, with source, many times where I've grown resentful because I've said, well, how can you tell me to laugh when I feel like this? How can you tell me to laugh when I witnessed, this awful thing? How can you tell me to laugh when I'm experiencing? It's like, how can you tell me this is funny? So like this, it's interesting that it came up like this in my dream. I feel like it had to come up with like those words because that's what would resonate with me. Because it has been a thing for me to have to like basically let go of, I want to say betrayal. And now, again, we're already at 30 minutes in this video and I am branching off. I could take this to another place. Let me make sure I've wrapped up with the dream. Yeah, basically, it carried with me into the waking day because, like I said, I feel like they had to take this approach with me in the dream because that is significant to me, because I know I've had many conversations in prayer about this specifically where I'm like, look, I know that none of this, like, I know I don't have to take it so seriously. I know I don't have to suffer like this, but this is how I feel right now. How do you expect me to laugh? How am I supposed to laugh when I feel this way? Like, I know you want me to see all of this as less serious and more fun, but oftentimes I find myself asking how, especially when I'm in, sorry, my neck, that's irrelevant, I'm sorry. Especially when I find the tag is itching my neck, okay? Especially when I find myself in like these frustrated and just overwhelmed and like honestly depressed states. So yeah, it's interesting because like I said, when I woke up from these dreams, which again, there was a lot more too. Like, I'm not going to get into some of the other stuff because it's less relevant. But the dream, basically that one pretty much ended there. I do remember then watching things, like being shown things in it, and I was perceiving it. I was being shown them while I was in this higher state that was given to me by that like initiation. But I don't remember what I was shown, but I do remember watching things like with my mother and with my brother, and I don't remember what I was shown, but I do remember that. And then other things started happening in the dream. Like it became a new dream in a sense, like, you know how dreams do that, like other shit starts happening, like, yeah. So I had a whole montage of like dating someone, falling in love, getting married, seeing myself married, seeing myself learn how to cook and bake. I was like fully making homemade pasta dishes for this man that I married in this dream. Great. So I'm telling you, I had like a string, lots of dreams, and I don't even remember all of them, but even what I do remember, there's a lot there. So I'm not all of it's relevant. I gave you the highlights. I think the only other thing that was relevant is like towards the end of the whole dream sequence is I had like a really like split moment where like, okay, because I was in a dream where I'm actually on this couch over here having sex with someone. It's crazy. Someone from my childhood, like obviously us as adults, but like someone I knew as a child. So random. We're not, right. You know how dreams are. We're having sex on this couch. And then my neighbor, Bon, comes in, but like she doesn't come into us having sex, because as soon as she's coming in the door, I'm aware, oh, I'm dreaming about having sex. But I'm also dreaming that she's coming into the apartment and I'm dreaming about having sex. So it became like this weirdly split layered thing. And then I'm like, okay, so I'm dreaming about having sex with someone. Bond's in the apartment. Again, that's also a dream, but like I'm not totally aware. Then Marissa knocks on the door and I let her in. So I'm like split into quarters, but it's normal. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm split. It's just like, this is normal. It's like one part of me is opening the door for Marissa. One part of me is asleep and aware of it. One part of me is in the dream and fully living it. And then another part of me is asleep and dreaming and unaware that all of it was a dream. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you, this was like an insane experience. And then this is kind of funny because at one point in the midst of all that, Bowie, my cat, I speak to him in Italian, and some of it is like the official Italian, and then some of it is like dialect. There's just my father's dialect, and or just whatever, learned dialect from my upbringing with my parents. And I said to him at one point, like, I gave him a toothbrush, and he's like fully like holding it and running with it, and took it into his litter box, like holding a toothbrush. Like, obviously he can't hold a toothbrush. He's a cat. But I fully said to him, la toothbrush non è per la bagnerò. Because it fully made me think of Peppino, the Italian mouse. Throw you in the bagnerò. Yeah, anyway. La toothbrush non è per la bagnerò. And I was just speaking to him in a bunch of dialect, like, that I don't even know that I could reproduce in my waking. Weird. Not all of it, anyway. Yeah. So, why did I come on here to talk about all that? I don't know. I guess I was just like, that was insane. I need to do more than just like write out what happened, because I want to remember shit like that. You know what I mean? I've certainly had dreams before where it did feel similar to this, in the sense that it felt like, okay, something is contacting me. I'm contacting something. But of course, like, you think about how many hours in your life that you've slept, and it's like, oh my God, how many dream experiences have I had that I don't even remember? Like, I have no recollection of. It's just wild. Yeah, I think getting into the like not seeing reality through the lens of betrayal is a topic for another time, because I'm feeling personally done. So, love you, mean it. But it is time for me to log off here. Thank you for listening. I'm speaking to myself. Did everybody get that? This was me talking to me here. Right, so this was just a conversation between me and me. God, we sure do have a lot of those. We do. Because you know what, B? At the end of the day, like, nobody gets you like me. Nobody gets me like you. We have something so good. We have something so that I don't know how to explain to people. And the interesting thing about it is, as soon as, of course, I have, people are very important to me. I have so many very important people in my life, and I could never possibly survive just us. Like, never. Like, because again, it goes back to the whole nature of what we are, like an organization. We're playing these individuals. Like, I can drive the car part of the way. I can push this much energy in this direction for this long and this much, and then someone else will pick up from there and do their part, and then and everybody's all variable, and everybody has different amounts, and nothing is the same, and you can't measure. It's not like it's very fluid and free flowing, and it all amounts to the same large scale. But on the surface and what we can see, it's like you can't measure like someone's value by how many hours they drove the car. Do you know what I'm saying? Or how much distance they drove the car. Because it ain't like that. It's just like, okay, you're here right now. You can do this part. It doesn't really matter if it's you. We need something to move this vehicle, because the vehicle needs to be moved. Oh my God. And that that makes me think about Terence McKenna, because that makes me think about like what he says about information being the vehicle essentially of not of anything. It's just information. No. I guess us being the vehicle of information using us as its vehicle, basically. We are its actants. And it says this needs to happen, and it puts it like this, and then someone is doing the things that are going to make that happen. Because if you think it makes a lot of sense. Because if you think too about what we are and what do we call source? Higher intelligence. Intelligence, you say? So what we are is higher intelligence? Don't fuck with me now. This is like a much deeper conversation and a bigger conversation, but that dream really did feel like it would confirm and just walk right in line with those theories of like I mean, yes, if you get down to it, like, yeah, people think, okay, like physical reality, that there are Lego physical building blocks that build this up, right? When in actuality, everything out here, it's not a physical Lego, it's an idea. It's light, it's energy moving, vibrating so quickly that we cannot see that it's vibrating, including us ourselves. So ultimately, what builds everything is thought, is information. Information. It's not Lego physical building blocks. Information is the building blocks of this reality. That's why the whole, conscious creating depends upon your thoughts and your beliefs. It's what you're doing with information that you have. This also has influenced me significantly because it's why I always feel so called to share. We go back to talking about ancient religious texts that have been, like hidden or like just shrouded, like taken away from the larger collective eyes for sake of preserving them, for sake of honoring their sacredness. But I just find myself leaning more and more towards the more information, the better. The more self-awareness, the better. And I just feel like that kind of thinking, it only makes sense in the internet age, that is the way we head. I'm sweating right now. And when I trust physical sensations when they appear. I don't know. There's something about like that has taken over. I mean, I could talk about my whole like battle with the internet, and at a certain point at which I said, okay, I will embrace. I've mentioned this before, I think, in these videos. At a certain point when I said like, okay, like the internet is going to outlive me. It is more powerful than I am in my own, because I guess I don't want to say more powerful, but I don't know what the right word is. It's almost like the internet is us being reflected back to us. Like AI is just us being reflected back to us in the only way the physical reality can do, which is like it's always going to be like a degree lesser than what we are. Like, because everything exists within here first and everything outside of it is a past manifestation. But like that kind of instant intelligence that is connected collectively, like across networks, that we can instantly like ask something and have a response. That is what we are. The internet's just reflecting us back to us. Anyway, so at a certain point, it was like, embrace the internet. And you do that. The thing about the internet, though, is the way in which I feel like it's our closest. It is our closest mirror. It is our closest reflection, because it's almost like as intelligent as us. I don't know. I'm like, the territory I'm in, I don't quite have total certainty right now. We've entered, it's like walking through the forest of what I do know, already on this subject, and I know it by lived experience and by feeling and the feeling of the thoughts as they come. And now we're entering like, okay, a little bit more barren part of the forest where it's like, okay, we haven't quite planted these trees yet. You know what I'm saying? Like the grass isn't even growing yet. It's like it's dirt. So I don't know, but I do feel like I don't know. It's fascinating. The internet is really an AI. It's like one of our closest reflections, and yet, of course, nothing outside of us can ever like replicate truly the truth of what we are. But it's weird because we are everything at the same time. We've birthed it all anyway, but we come from something that is much. We come from something that is ancient because it is everlasting, because it is always beginning and always is, because it just is, because it is isness. But the internet is fascinating. This is why I guess I've been leaning into a more, like as I've like embraced the internet, I just feel like the internet has embraced me back in a way that goes beyond what anything else in the physical reality can do. Like I guess that's what I mean when I say it's like our closest reflection, because I feel as though it has a kind of agency that other things in the physical reality don't have, that only like life has, you know? But I do feel like for a while I was also like interested in this kind of like, what secrets do I keep? And there are always things that like you cannot express. Like I just feel like if it is expressible, well, you can't say that because people can really misuse that. Like I was going to say, like if it is expressible, it ought to be expressed. But like I sometimes I forget about like ignorant thinking that is still like, you know, rooted in like hate and just ignorance, blindness, separation, illusion. I forget that like it's the interesting thing about truth is because it exists on layers. And like truths that are so certain for me, like for somebody existing on this like lower level of consciousness, you know, like enmeshed in hate, it wouldn't be totally true for them. I don't know. But I just have found myself leaning into more like, no, it's always better for people to have more information than less. I really do find that is like what is happening with myself. Like it's interesting because oftentimes it's not even about getting a piece of information. Like it's like there will be things that I already know but can't seem to enact in my physical reality, or like through my vessel, like I struggle to either enact them or I come up against some kind of resistance. And of course, there is the emotional body at play that is relevant here. However, there's also, on the level of intellect and the level of mind, this is what I have found recently, that sometimes I need more information in order to enact what I already know how to enact. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'll find that it's like I already know a lot about the issue, but it's almost like it's, you know, sometimes it's not even that I need the more information, it's that I need the experience of acquiring more information. I need the act of acquiring more information, and that's what like clicks things together and allows me to like more freely do things, freely flow. Anyways, we're done, dude. It's 50 minutes now. I love you, Queen. Thank you for watching. If you're here, if you're anyone who's not me, appreciate you. Please, you know, let's chat. Let's chat about this. Let me know also, like, if the ideas that I'm attempting to convey make sense, if they are making sense outside of me. I feel as though they are, as much as they can be, because they are, of course, you know, it's not the fucking, this is not 2 + 2. Like this is, forgive me, I'm channeling, okay? Forgive me, I'm a divine channel. I'm being silly, but for real, let me know, like, because I like to discuss these things, and oftentimes I feel like I don't like the lack of resonance that I experience in my reality of like, I'm just spewing into the void. You know, I want to chat. I want to chat about these things. Okay? Thanks for watching, listening, and peace and love.